Hi. Okay. Welcome guys. Welcome back to this episode of our post UTME series tag 100 most repeated questions stroke likely a UNIBEN post UTME questions 2022. I can say welcome to the house of God. Oh, sorry, welcome to the presence of God. Because we need to understand that wherever two or three are gathered, God is in our midst. I'm here and you are there. So we are more than two and we are more than three. And I know that God will help you to understand everything that I'm going to teach in this class. And our efforts together is not going to be a waste, because on that day you will get to your exam hall and you will see your questions and you'll be smiling and you say, I'm proud to have attended this class, and trust me, you're going to blast that exam. Amen. Okay, the last time we started in our episode 1, we treated some aspect of chemistry. We treated some possible questions in chemistry, and we're meant to deal with some of those concepts, and we treated them. Today we're going to be looking at biology. As usual, I copy the questions to make sure that it's the right question and nothing but the right question. Okay, this one says the Golgi complex in an eukaryotic cell is A. Conduct ions in and out of the cell. B. Transport genetic materials out of the cells. C. Provide attachment for ribosomal granules. And D. Transport organic materials in and out of the cell. Okay, this question was actually taken from the components of cells and their uses. Make sure you read that place. But before then, let me give you a shortcut to answer it. Now we have our cell. Now, first of all, the cell has two major components. The cell has two major components: the nucleus and cytoplasm. Now, let me explain to you. The nucleus is the genetic makeup of the cell. It contains the DNA, which has the genetic makeup of the cell. So the nucleus is responsible for the structural and the functional aspect of the cell because it contains the DNA. Now, the cytoplasm is responsible for the major components of the cell and how cell carries out its functions. Okay, let's say for example, we have the human body. The head is responsible for the artificial intelligence, is responsible for the decision making, let me put it like that, of a man. But other parts of the body, which are the components of the cytoplasm in the cell, is responsible for the activities, how these cells carry out the activities. Now, if the head asks you to go and sit down, if the leg did not move to go and sit down, there's no way you can walk well or you can behave well as a human. So these two makes up the cell, and they work together to make sure the cell carries out its work and duties to make sure that the cell is doing well. Okay, now let's talk about these major components of the cell that you need to expect in your exam hall, or that you need to have idea of before taking any questions that has to do with biology. Now let's talk. We have the cell structure. Plasma membrane. We have the endoplasmic reticulum. Endoplasmic reticulum. We have the ribosomes. We have mitochondria. We have Golgi complex. Now, these are the major components of the cell that you should be aware of. There are more components of the cell, like the centrals and the rest of it, but you should be aware of these major components of the cell. Now, let's explain the cell membrane or the plasma membrane. Just like as your skin is. Now, the cell membrane is the covering of the cell. The cell membrane is the covering of the cell that covers the outer part of the cell from the inner layers of the cell. Now, it does this to make sure that cell can actually regulate water and nutrients to the process of diffusion and the rest of it. Now, just like your skin is what protects your body from bacteria from entering inside your skin or from entering or from blood from coming outside of your skin and the rest of it. This is what the plasma membrane does. So plasma membrane, if you cannot remember the work of a plasma membrane, just have it that the same work that the skin in your body does. That is what the plasma membrane do. So the plasma membrane can be for protection, for osmotic regulation, and the rest of it. Now we have the endoplasmic reticulum. Now, the major questions that you should expect from this endoplasmic reticulum is different types. We have the two types of endoplasmic reticulum, the smooth endoplasmic reticulum and the rough endoplasmic reticulum. Now let's talk about the ribosomes. The ribosomes are the site for protein synthesis. That is a place where proteins are being made or formed in the body of the cell. So this one is responsible for protein synthesis. Protein, remember. Now, the mitochondria. The mitochondria is the site of cellular respiration. Is the site of cellular respiration. Now, let's talk about, just like your body, we have the lungs is the site of cellular respiration. That is the work of the mitochondria. The mitochondria is responsible for anything that has to do with respiration in the cell. Now, here comes where our question lies, the Golgi complex. The Golgi complex is responsible for transport of nutrients, that is the food that has been produced by the cells, probably the protein that was produced in the ribosomes and the rest of it. This Golgi complex is responsible for the transport of this Golgi complex of these nutrients and materials to all the parts of the cell to make sure that the cell is growing, to make sure that the cell is feeding well, to make sure that the cell is doing well. Hope you understand. Now, there's another one called the lysosome. The lysosome is responsible for taking out of unwanted materials, unwanted substances in the body of the cells. Those substances that the cell do not need, the rhizosome is responsible for taking care of it. Now, in one thing that you should actually, question that can come out from this, just like I told you guys, the smooth and the rough endoplasmic reticulum. Then another question you should expect is mitochondria. Where is the site of cellular respiration in the cell? Is mitochondria, cellular respiration. Respiration. I'm just trying to manage here. Golgi complex was our question, and transport of nutrients. Transport of nutrients. So we'll talk about lysosomes taking care of unwanted substances. Now, these things here are components of the cytoplasm. Now let's talk a bit of the nucleus. Now, the nucleus contains what we call the DNA. Now, the DNA is the genetic makeup of the cell. Note the questions. The DNA is the genetic makeup of the cell. The plasma membrane is responsible for protection of the cell, just like your skin and the plasmic reticulum and the rest of it. Now let's look back into our questions again. The Golgi complex in a eukaryotic cell is responsible to conduct ions in and out of the cell. No, we did not talk of ions. B, transport genetic materials out of the cells. It has nothing to do with genetic materials, mind you. Transport of organic, C, provide attachment for ribosomal granules. It has nothing to do with this. Then D, transport of organic materials in and out of the cell. That is your answer. Transport of organic materials in and out of the cell. So the answer is D. What did you choose as your answer? Did you get it right? Now let's proceed. Now you have gotten it right. Okay, let's take question number 2. The enzyme responsible for converting sucrose into two simple isomatic sugars is A. Invertase, B. Amylase, C. Lactase, D. Matase. Okay, let's do something. Okay, you can pause the video, answer the question before I explain. Now, sugars. Okay, now breakdown of sugars. We have the simple sugars. We have the monosaccharide. And disaccharides. Hope you can see this very well. Now, the monosaccharide will have glucose, will have fructose, and will have galactose. Now, this glucose plus another glucose, which is glucose times 2, will give us maltose. Just follow this process. Fructose plus glucose G plus G, this guy will give us fructose glucose will give us sucrose. Galactose plus this same guy G is for my guy will give us lactose. Now, if we were having this maltose, sucrose, and lactose as a substance, and we need to break them down to their components, which is glucose, fructose plus glucose, galactose plus glucose, we need something that will help us carry the work, which we call an enzyme. Now, this is where our question comes in. Now, we are given, how many enzymes were we given here? The first enzyme we are given is invertase. Now, another name for invertase is sucrase. The second one we are given is amylase. The next one is lactase. The other one is matase. Okay, as the name implies, that determines what they do. That determines the work that they do. Invertase or sucrase is what helps to break down glucose into fructose and galactose. Lactase helps to break down lactose into galactose and glucose. Then matase helps to break down maltose into glucose and glucose. Now, amylase, you know that we made us to understand in our biology that there is an enzyme in your saliva. What is the work of this enzyme? The enzyme in your saliva is responsible of breaking down starch into sugar. You know, the food that you take into your body is made up of starch. Now, for you to be able, for your body to make use of this food, you cannot make use of starch, but you make use of glucose. So this is the work of amylase. Now there's another enzyme, zymase. Now zymase is responsible, or is the enzyme responsible for fermentation. What is fermentation? Fermentation is the breaking down of sugars into alcohols. Okay, let's say for example, the process whereby, have you seen palm wine? Your palm wine is being left to ferment and change to alcohol. The enzyme responsible for that process is zymes. It ferments glucose to alcohol. Alcohol. That is the work of zymes. So note all these enzymes. Invertase sucrase is responsible for the breakdown of sucrose to the simple sugars. Amylase is the enzyme in your saliva that breaks down starch to glucose. Lactase breaks down lactose to galactose and glucose. Maltase breaks down maltose to glucose and glucose, while zymase breaks down simple sugars into sugars or glucose into alcohol through the process known as fermentation. Now let's take the next question. This question says, given that a man who has the trait for color blindness marries a normal woman, what percentage of their children would be sufferers? 1, 2 carriers, 3 normal, respectively. Okay, our options are A 25 25 50, B 25 50 50, C 25 37.5 37.5, D 50 25 and 25. Okay, this is how it is. Okay, first of all, let me explain to us. Color blindness is a recessive trait which is found in the X chromosome of man. Remember, when I mean man and woman. Now, the sex chromosome of humans, the man comprises of the S and Y, and the woman comprises of S and X. You get it? Now, first of all, let's answer our question. We have a man with the traits of color blindness. BP, a normal woman. Sorry. And B, the small letter B is to show that this man has a trait of color blindness. The big letter B is the normal Y chromosome. This one is the other double normal S chromosome of the woman. Now let's cross multiply. Are we cross multiplying or we are just crossing? Now these two indicates that this is for normal children. Normal. Then the small b and the small b will produce B, 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 B. Note, here is capital letter B, capital letter B. So these two are normal, these two are carriers. Now, when we mean carrier, a carrier is someone who is not a sufferer but has the trait of that sickness in his or her gene, which it can transfer to the next offspring, and the offspring can become a sufferer. So that's what it means to be a carrier. So now, it's finished like this. There is no space for anything. There is no other this thing that you can produce here apart from this normal and the carrier, which means there is no sufferer. Which means, respectively, we are told to give the sufferer. So that means there is no sufferer. Sufferer is 50%. 0%. Sorry. Carrier is 50% because half here are carriers. 50%. And normal is N for normal, sufferers for S, C for carriers, is 50% as well. Normal is 50% as well because PP is normal, BB is normal. So in our options, we are given 25, 25, 50, 25, 50, 50, 25, 37.5, 37.5, 50, 25, and 25. Which is to say that among all the options, there is no correct option. Please take note, when you are in an exam hall and you see a question like this and you have solved and there is no correct option, please and please skip that question. Don't choose the wrong one unless you want to fail yourself. Now, I want to explain some certain concepts as well on this color blindness, because you might not have this question, you might have other questions from color blindness. Now let's go through. If this this man, okay, this question was for a man that is a carrier and a woman that is normal. Okay, let's ask this question. If the man is a carrier, the woman is normal, how many percent of the male children will be carriers or sufferers, or how many percent of the male and female will have this trait? Now let's say, for example, I need to understand that the male is X and Y, while the female is XS. Now if the male, a male child, only takes the Y chromosome from the father, X chromosome from the mother, now that means male children will have Y and X, which means male children will take the normal Y chromosome and the normal X chromosome from the mother, while the female will carry X chromosome from the mother and the X chromosome of the father, which is colorblind, which means that all female will be carriers of color blindness, while none of the male will be carriers. Because there's a question like that I saw in one of the UNIBEN past questions that said, if a normal male marries a normal, if you're a carrier, a male who is a carrier of colorblindness marries a female who is a normal female, what percentage of the female child will be carriers and what percentage of the male child will be normal? Now, the answer is that all the female will be carriers while all the males will be normal. Don't forget. Okay, let's say, for example, how about, or should I give you this to solve? If the female, the woman happens to be the carrier and the man is normal, what percentage of the man, of the male child, will be carriers and what percentage of the female child will be carriers? Now when you cross this, you know that a carrier means only one of the X chromosome of the female has this trait. So that means if you are crossing it, the male will take one Y chromosome from the man and one X chromosome from the woman. The female will take one X chromosome from the man, one X chromosome from the woman. So definitely both the male and the female children will take chromosomes from their mother, which is a carrier. So there is a probability that 50% of the female and 50% of the male child will be carriers. That means all the children are likely to be carriers of this trait of color blindness. Now let's go to the next question. The next question says the maize grain is regarded as a fruit and not a seed because A, it is covered by a sheet of leaves. B, the tester and the fruit were fused after fertilization. C, it has both endosperm and cotyledons. D, the pericarp and the seed coat are separate. Now, when we talk about a maize is a special fruit that we call known as caryopsis. If I'm correct with the spelling. Now, what are caryopsis? Caryopsis are special plants which the tester and the fruit were fused together. Now, what is a tester? The tester is the wall of the seed, while the pericarp or the pericarp is the wall of the fruit. Now, how do I explain this? The maize is actually a fruit. The maize is actually a fruit that has the ovule attached to it. Now, the fact that is the reason why the maize, we call them grains. The grains of a maize can be eaten as a fruit and as well can be planted as a seed because it has the tester attached to the plant, that is to the pericarp. So do not think the maize is a seed. It is not a seed, but it is a fruit. You can read more about fruit and seeds. You see the different types of fruit and the different type of seeds, you will understand better about this concept. Now let's take the next one. Oxygen from the atmosphere reaches the mammalian bloodstream through one of the paths indicated below. Indicate the correct path. Now this is a question that you should, let's clean it. This is a question that you should expect in most of your biology exam, the pathways of oxygen in human respiratory. Now, let me explain this to you. Once you understand this, once you see any question like this, you will definitely get the right answer. We have the nose. We have the nose. The nose / mouth. One, we have the trachea. We have the bronchial. We have the bronchus, and we have alveoli. Now, this is the part of oxygen in your body. It starts from the nose. Yeah, you can breathe in, air enters through your nose and through your mouth. Then from your nose, it goes down to the trachea. Your trachea is located here. After the larynx is the voice. After the larynx, you have the trachea. Then from the trachea, you have your bronchial, the one that has CHIO, and you have from the bronchial to the bronchus. The bronchus, CHUS, then to the alveoli. Alveoli is located in the lungs. It's located in the lungs. The alveoli is the site of oxygen respiration in your lungs. It's site of oxygen respiration in your lungs. So the last part of respiration in your lungs is the alveoli. Now let's see the options that we have. We have you will see the options that we have. The correct option is the one that starts with the nose. So whenever you see a question like this, don't even bother to stress yourself. The correct option the one that has the nose, the trachea, bronchial, bronchus, and alveoli. This is the right sequence of respiration of oxygen into your body. Now let's take the next question. Okay, let's move to the next question. This question said, which of the two structures are present in a parasite cell but not in a liver cell? A, cell wall and cytoplasm. B, cell wall and chloroplast. C, cell membrane and cytoplasm. D, cell membrane and cytoplasm. Now, a palisade cell, sometimes UNIBEN uses some of these words to make us don't understand what they are trying to say. A palisade cell just means the cell of a leaf cell, or you can say a plant cell. You know, leaf is a plant. A liver cell means animal cell. So this question is just asking you to differentiate between plants and animal cell. And in the first question, I gave us components of the cell. Now, the difference between a plant cell and animal cell is the presence, they are talking about the plant cell, of a cell wall and chloroplast. Now, plants has cell wall, animals do not have cell wall. Plants has cell wall and chloroplast. These two cannot be found in an animal. Chloroplast is responsible for photosynthesis. So humans or animals do not carry out photosynthesis, so there is no need for chloroplast, as well as cell wall. Animals do not have cell wall, they only have plasma membrane. So the correct answer is option B, cell wall and chloroplast. Okay, let's go further. The hepatic portal vein in most cases is rich in food nutrients because it carries hepatic portal vein. Hepatic portal vein. Please note this vein. There are some veins that you also as well need to note. Hepatic portal vein, hepatic vein as well, hepatic vein, renal vein, renal artery. Now let's talk about the question that they ask us. The hepatic portal vein is the vein that is responsible for carrying nutrients, blood feed nutrients from the other parts of the stomach, like the intestine, the spleen, the pancreas, to the liver. Hepatic to the liver. This is the work of the hepatic portal vein. Now, the hepatic vein itself carries deoxygenated blood out of the liver to other parts of the body, to taking them back to the vena cava. That is the work of the hepatic vein. Now, there's another special thing about the hepatic portal vein that I need to tell you about. When they ask you which vein is completely made of, or that begins with capillaries and ends up with capillaries, it is this same hepatic portal vein. Note this: it begins and ends up with capillaries. It only flows from the intestine, the pancreas, to the liver. So it's responsible for supplying the liver with blood, nutrient feed blood. Now the renal artery and the renal vein and renal artery. When we are talking about renal, we are talking about the kidney. The renal vein is responsible for taking deoxygenated blood out of the kidney to the vena cava, while the renal artery is responsible for taking oxygenated blood from the aorta to the kidney. So note this for hepatic portal vein, renal artery. You will get questions from there. Now let's proceed further. Question 8. I actually have explained it. The hepatic portal vein is characterized by dash: A, beginning and ending with capillaries; B, connecting the liver and the kidney; C, carrying the oxygenated blood; D, ending with large capillaries. Now, these are confusing options. I brought these questions because they can use this question to confuse you. These are confusing options that you must not be tempted. The answer is it begins and ends with capillaries. Now, this is the only thing that is correct here, that it begins and ends with capillaries, connecting the liver and the kidney. It does not connect the liver and kidney. Hepatic portal vein, it only brings in nutrient or blood from the intestine. So when they say it connects the intestine to the liver, this would have been correct. Seeing one incorrect thing in an option is enough for you to wave it off. Now the next option was carrying deoxygenated blood. It doesn't carry deoxygenated blood. It carries oxygenated blood that are filled with nutrients. This says ending with capillaries, large capillaries. See, it ends with capillaries, but it begins and ends with capillaries. So make sure you are careful when answering biological questions, because you might be putting yourself in trouble if you are not careful. Now let's take the next question. Question 9. Hypogea germination is characterized by A, emergence of bromo out of the ground; B, provision of nourishment for endosperm; C, elongation of hypocoty; D, elongation of epicoty. Let's let's wipe here. Let's wipe here. Okay. There's what we call hypogee and epigee germination. These are under plant biology. UNIBEN will not miss question from plant biology. Note that. Now, hypogee and epigee germination. Now, epigee germination, the cotyledons are brought outside the soil during germination. Why hypogee germination, the cotyledons remain inside the soil during germination. Now, an example of plant that carry out epigee germination can have your beans. When the beans is growing, you see that the cotyledons are outside. It comes with the cotyledons, they are outside. But maize is an example of hypogee, does not go with the cotyledons. Now, we talked about the elongation of the epicoty and elongation of the hypocoty. Now, in plants, there is what we call the prumo and the radicle. The radicle is an attachment or an attachment to the root. The radicle is what forms the root or an attachment to the root. Now, radicle, root, prumo, shoot. Radicle is an attachment of the root. Prumo is an attachment of the shoot. Now, just like I made us understand that the radicle is an elongation of the root. The prumo is an elongation of the shoot. Now, there's what we call the epicoty and the hypocoty. Now, from the prumo, we have the epicoty, and we have hypocoty. Now, the hypocoty is an attachment of the radicle. Epicoty is an attachment of the prumo, which is the shoot. Hypocoty, root. Epicoty, shoot. Now, during germination, epigee elongation, this hypogee is elongated. While the epicoty in hypogee germination is elongated. You're getting the gist. So when it comes to hypogee germination, cotyledons remain in the soil. The prumo, which is an attachment of the shoot, has what we call an epicoty, which is elongated during germination. Here, elongation of the hypocoty, which is an attachment of the radicle, which is also an attachment of the root. Hope we understand. So when we see any questions relating to hypogee and epigee germination, note these words: cotyledons, radicle, prumo, epicoty, elongated, hypocoty, elongated. Now let's talk about this last question. This question said, question number 10. When a person with blood group O loses a lot of blood to an accident person, he can be given blood from a person of blood group. Okay, let's use here blood group. We have blood group 0, A, B, and AB. Now, sorry, AB. This AB is together. AB. We are made to understand that blood group 0. Okay, let me draw something for you. You will understand this. This is blood group O. Now, I'm drawing the sequence at which blood can be donated to humans depending on your blood group. This is blood group O. Let's go like this. Let's go like this. Here you will have A. Here we have B. Now, by the time we go again, and we go again, you will have A, B. Now watch. These arrows here are indicating blood transfer. Blood transfer. What does this mean? O can donate to both A, B, and AB. That is why we call O as universal donor. Universal donor. Now, AB can receive from both O, both B, both AB. We call AB our universal recipient. Recipient means the receiver, donor means the giver. Now, each blood group can donate to itself, which means O donate to AB, A donate to AB, B donate to AB. AB also can donate to AB, universal recipient. O donate to A, donate to B, donate to AB. O can also donate to O, universal donor. Now note, each blood group can donate to itself. Now, whenever I have questions relating to blood group, have this in your head. Have this drawing arrow from, have this drawing from O to A, B, and B. This one is receiving from O. This one is giving to O. Now, let's see our options. A can receive blood from person with A, blood group O only, blood group A only, C, AB only, D, A and O. What is your option? Option A, blood group O only. You get the gist. Now, make sure you go through this video over and over again. Now, do me a favor. All these topics that questions come out from, make sure you go and revise them. Touch these topics. These are topics that UNIBEN set questions from. Now, you might not see the question exactly the way it is, but you understanding these topics will help you to tackle any question that comes out from that topic, irrespective of how UNIBEN choose to twist it. Your exam is coming up soon. Make sure you read. And one more thing, please and please, do not just come and enjoy these values alone. Share these videos to your friends, your enemies, those people that will become your friends later, that will become your classmates later in school. Let them know that there is a series going on the Exquisite Tutorials YouTube channel by the best himself. Make them to know that they need to come and gain knowledge, and by the grace of God and by the God that is working in all of us, is going to make sure everything that we are learning here is what we are going to see in our exam hall, and all of us will come out smiling. And once again, if you have not subscribed to this channel, hey, I'll beat you. Now hit the subscribe button, turn off your notification button, so that whenever I make a post, or whenever we make a post, you are going to get notified. And we're going to begin our 20 days UNIBEN Post UTME past question challenge. The next video you are going to see will explain to you how the challenge is going to be. There's going to be a video on this YouTube channel that will explain how the challenge is going to be. Make sure you take part. And once more, our free class, 10 days free class, is still on the Telegram channel. Make sure you join our Telegram channel. Follow us on Facebook, which will do tests on daily basis on Facebook, Telegram. You cannot be an exclusive student and fail exam. No, it's not possible.
So make sure you are following up with everything that is happening on this channel. And finally, on your matriculation day, I'm going to count all of you that is taking part in our classes. And you guys are going to bring my matric rice and my matric drink to me, not in school, in my place. So I'm expecting your matric rice and your matriculation drink. I know all of you are going to get matriculated in Jesus' name. So enjoy the rest of your day and make sure that you go through the video over and over again. Keep reading, keep reading. As you read, check on past questions. I will make a video on how to read for exam and come out excellent even when you do not know the courses that you are writing that deep. Reading for exams and coming out with excellent. I remain your best and I remain my best. So thank you and thanks for being a part of the class.